Analysis now with Rami Khouri. He's a distinguished public policy fellow at the American University of Beirut and is joining us from Boston in the US. Always good to speak to you, Rami. So now there could be another round of ceasefire talks, but are the gaps between Israel and Hamas just too big to bridge right now, or could the role that Egypt and Qatar now play be pivotal?
The gaps are never too big to bridge if you have serious mediators, credible mediators, and two parties that want to reach an agreement. And we don't have all those elements right now. The United States has shown that it is not a fully impartial and credible mediator. It's reflecting the Israeli position, and it's talking Witkoff's statement yesterday that the Hamas's position is unacceptable. It's not for him to say what's unacceptable. It's for the two negotiating parties to agree or not agree. He's supposed to facilitate an agreement. So there's problems with the American mediation, and there's serious problems with whether Israel really wants a permanent ceasefire, exchange of hostages and prisoners, and an end to the fighting. The Israelis the government of Israel keeps saying it wants to keep fighting, and it wants to continue to achieve its goals of eliminating Hamas and releasing all the hostages, and that's not backed up really by Israel's actions. So there are serious structural impediments to the negotiations, but at the same time, it's clear that virtually everybody in Palestine, in Israel, in the United States, people want to end this genocide by Israel, which is funded and armed by the U.S. And England and others. So there are conflicting pressures for and against an agreement, but they keep trying, which is itself a good sign, but they have to try harder.
Rami, if you say the U.S. are not credible mediators, do other mediators like Qatar and Egypt then mean that they will bring in something different that could see us finally get those last agreements, those last points over the line, and finally a ceasefire be agreed?
I think they are already trying to do that now. The problem is twofold. The problem is that Israel will only trust the United States. It will trust nobody else, partly because it feels it can control U.S. policy in the Middle East, which has pretty much been proven to be the case over the years, with only a few exceptions, that whatever Israel wants in the Middle East, the U.S. approves. Now, for instance, the U.S. is not approving an armed attack on Iran, but it may change its mind down the road. But generally, Israel will only trust the United States. And second of all, the power that the U.S. brings, the pressure it can bring on the two parties is far greater than whatever Qatar and Egypt can do. But there's also the structural problem that there's no enforcement mechanism that's been clear so far. If they reach an agreement, and you see what happened in Lebanon, they reached an agreement on an Israeli withdrawal, end of fighting with Hezbollah, and the French and the U.S. were supposed to oversee the enforcement of the ceasefire. And they haven't, because the Israelis have been attacking Lebanon, aerial flights, surveillance flights, attacks, killing armed commanders in Lebanon, attacking civilian infrastructure, occupying pieces of Lebanon. There is no enforcement, even though the U.S. and France signed on the agreement that they would make sure that it's enforced. So there's a problem with the credibility and the capacity of any impartial mediator to achieve a ceasefire and then to enforce it. Those are structural problems. There are other problems on the substance of the ceasefire where the two parties disagree. Those can probably be sorted out, because a good mediator will bring the two sides closer together so they determine what is absolutely their bottom line, what they must have, and the areas where they can be a little bit more flexible. And when those two kinds of positions are juxtaposed and exchanged, then you reach an agreement on the substance of the talks.
Thank you very much for breaking that all down for us, Rami Khouri there in Boston. Appreciate it.